This took me 4 years to learn, but as soon as I did, it made me tens of thousands of dollars. You see, I started out when I was 17 and I was a total beginner. I absolutely sucked, and I went from repelling clients, not being able to write for shit, to writing insanely good copy, making hundreds of thousands of dollars in client wins, dropping out of university to be a full-time copywriter, and now I'm here and I want to teach you everything I know. In this sexy, groundbreaking, riveting video, I'll show you why the number one structure you were taught by the YouTube gurus is absolute BS. Most of the times, but not always, there is a place for it too. And then instead, which structure to use to write fantastic emails that clients love to pay for and hate to get rid of, how to make more sales for your clients over time to avoid getting fired after 2 months like most of the industry does, to be honest, the winning email marketing philosophy that only the 1% of the highest paid copywriters know how to deploy on demand, and lastly, the stallion/bad bunny tactic to get cult-like loyalty, engagement, and cash for your client, which makes you look like a monster copywriter even if you're just a beginner. I'll distill it on down very, very simply, and I go into way more depth in my anti-beginner email copywriting guide, where I'll literally show you how to outcompete 99% of your competition almost instantly. Just check out the first link in the description. Now, this hidden structure, actually not hidden, this is like fucking way too famous for some reason, structure that everyone talks about, is the problem, agitate, solution structure, PAS. Now, this is where you simply take the pains of the people that you're writing for, that's what you're writing to, and then you explode them, you agitate them, and then you give a solution. But this is boring. I mean, imagine if every single one of my video used this fuck-ass structure where I was just like, you're struggling with outreach, sending 40 DMs a day. You're doing that all the time, but one day, bing, oh my God, you got a response. And it's just a fucking setter and you hate your life, but haha, buy my product. Haha, you're so hot, buy my product, you know? That would not be nice. And of course, I butchered it. This is not a full email, obviously. But my point is that it can work for a little bit. You will get a spike in sales for your clients. But it loses readership over time because it's inherently boring. You would not want to read an email like this every single day of your life or 3 times a week. And so you're not going to be able to retain the customers of your clients or the prospects. And if you can retain them, the client is going to make less money over time and you'll get fired. So if you can't retain readership for your client, correlate that with I cannot retain said client. And that's why most of the industry just loses clients so fast. My clients stay with me at least for a year, probably more. We'll see about that. But my point is that when you don't use the problem agitate solution template, you get more readership, you make more sales over time, you get a connection. Because imagine if we just sat down, you and I, across from each other, we grabbed a beer and I only spoke about copywriting. Ever only about copywriting. Will we connect? No. I mean, you'd probably love it because you want to know more. But the point is we wouldn't be actual friends. You would kind of see me as this person to use just to learn copywriting from. And then we wouldn't actually connect. But if you use the story lesson offer technique, structure, whatever you want to call it, you will make more sales over time. You will connect with people and your clients and you will be happy and your wallet will be filled. So how do you do this? You simply tell a story as per story. You deliver one tip/perspective as per lesson and you pitch your product. You guessed it, that's the offer. Why does this work so well? Because you cultivate what is known as know, like, and trust. Again, if we're grabbing a beer and I tell you what I believe in, what I don't believe in, what my story is, I tell you what I ate yesterday for breakfast or things like that, what I'm doing, what's up with me, who my friends are, my family, all of these things, we will connect. We might become friends. But if we only ever spoke about copywriting, obviously we're just colleagues, we're not friends. And I have like 3 friends, so I know what I'm talking about. But which stories do you choose now? You want to choose stories from your client's life, obviously, but their work as well. So you simply stock their content for story ideas. Or ask the clients to deliver the stories on a weekly basis, for example, through voice notes, messages, whatever. It's not that complicated. And for the love of God, you don't have to hop on a 1-hour call every week for your client. You're going to hate it. Trust me. I did that for months and I hated it. And your client's going to hate it because they also want the same freedom lifestyle that you want. So they don't want to hop on a call every Sunday and speak to you for an hour. But which stories should you use? You can get industry news, and you can find these yourself. ChatGPT, deep research, quick Google search, Reddit, simply following content from the niche, things like that. You use your client's contrarian takes, and I'll get into that later. Some events that are happening around the world, for example, or their everyday work, email replies. And once you start featuring email replies in your emails, people will actually be motivated to reply more, and it's just an upward spiral of unlimited ideas. And then testimonials as well, but you make them fun. So the point is that you tell a story that is very, very fun, but also personal, so that people read every single email because it's an actually good experience to read it. And over months and months and months that they read every email, not only are they going to buy once, but twice, 3 times, 4 times. So the LTV, or the lifetime value of your customers, will increase, not just increase, but fucking exponentially skyrocket, all right? Now, how do you write these cool ass stories? With actions, feelings, dialogue, and monologue. Thoughts is monologue. Actions is what I'm doing, feelings is what I'm feeling, dialogue is who said what. Let's take these 2 stories. For example, I want to say that I picked up this marker and I threw it in my friend's head because he slimed me out, because he did something to me, and then it hurt him. I can say that, and this is a story. Or I can say that as I was grabbing the marker, I felt the blood rushing through my veins out of sheer anger, and as I was slowly raising my hand, I yelled, "Take this, you fucker." And then I threw it, and whoosh, it was flying and flying and flying, when boom, it hit his head and he fell to the ground, bleeding or whatever. Obviously, this is a pretty stupid example, but I used everything. I used actions, thoughts, feelings, and dialogue. And that's why the story was vivid. You could really easily picture it. Just like a fiction book, if you've ever read one, or a movie, you've probably watched that. But if you only use actions, like most copywriters do, then that's just you're just telling what happened. You don't want to tell what happened. You want to show what happened. You've probably heard of show rather than tell. Well, this is a great example of that. What I want you to do is say no to value emails. No. Because again, imagine you and I, we sit together and I just talk about copywriting. You won't want to see me 17 million times, right? Do you only talk about copywriting with your best friends? No, the fuck you don't. So in your emails, just tell fun stories that connect. Establish you as an authority and sell. These are the 3 things that your stories need to do. So choose the stories that do that. It's very easy. Every time someone reads an email of yours, they need to think, I loved reading this. I didn't waste my time. But if you only ever spam problem agility solution emails, they're literally wasting their time. They're not learning anything. They're not getting new mindsets. They're only getting kind of manipulated and bored out of their mind. While most people teach you to just bore people out of their mind, press into some pain points, maybe make a few quick sales, I'm teaching you to entertain people, make it a fun experience, tell stories, connect, increase lifetime value, increase the LTV, increase readership, make more money over time, and generally be a way better copywriter. By the way, clients love seeing storytelling, especially when you use dialogue and monologue, and when you can really tell a vivid story, which, by the way, AI cannot do. It's insanely cringe, and none of these prompt people even know how to write in themselves, so their AIs also don't. But as soon as clients see that you're writing stories like that, they instantly go, what the fuck, this person is insanely good. So get dangerously good at writing stories. Next time you write, tell a story, make it more vivid than the last one, tell a more interesting perspective, teach a more interesting perspective, but just one, don't stuff it with tips. And then pitch a product using dream outcomes, curiosity, and all of that beautiful stuff. Now, when do I use PAS? Because as I said, there is a time and a place for it. I don't think it's always bad, not at all. A lot of sales have been made using this problem agility solution framework. I just don't lean on it. I use it every few weeks when I really want to make a harder sale and when I really want to twist the pains. But then you also have to get very, very, very specific on the pains. So that's why here I said sending 40 DMs a day, because I know people be sending 40 DMs. Get very, very specific with it. That's why I said you get a response, but it's just a setter because I know exactly what it feels like. So that's what you have to do in the PAS when you use that. But again, I don't lean on it only when I either don't have a story or when I want to make a harder sale and really press into the pain points. However, if you want to press into the pain points, you can still tell a story, but just do it in a nightmare way. Say, picture this, and then you tell the story of the nightmare scenario, which is arguably even way better than just using a PAS because it's fun, it's relationship building, but at the same time, it is absolutely difficult to read in some way because it creates a lot of pain. And nightmare emails work insanely good for making sales. And now we get to the stallion/bad bunny techniques. You have to think of your client like a dictator, and I'm not even kidding about this. Kind of like a good dictator, like a fun dictator. That's what you want to be. Because you want to fight enemies on the audience's behalf and cultivate a cult-like following. For example, you can probably imagine some World War II dictator like being on this balcony, like being like, these people suck, we're so much better, and let's attack them. That's what you need to do. No joke. No joke. You frequently call out the wrongdoings of your client's industry, but they must obviously mean it. So for example, now I'll give you an example later. They must mean it, obviously, because if they don't mean it and you just pick random fights that your clients never asked for, then your email's not going to get approved and it's just not going to work. You have to do it because your client cares about what's good for the audience more than they care about their financial gain. Let me repeat this sentence because it's so important. Your client cares about what's good for the audience more than they care about their financial gain. Now I'll give you an example of my fight against AI copywriting. I'm totally against this whole new wave of AI copywriting because I think that it only benefits the gurus selling you this information because it's way easier to sell it. I mean, think about it. You'll make more money in less time. You write 10 emails in 20 minutes. So just focus about getting clients and don't even think about fulfillment. AI will do everything for you. It's so easy to sell that. And that's why I think it only benefits people who sell that and not you because you won't actually have skills. You won't be an actually good copywriter. You won't understand if the output is even good or not. And you'll only ever be as good as the output, as the AI prompt. You will never get better. You cannot write emails that are as entertaining as the ones that I write because I don't use AI. And AI doesn't and never will be at my level because I'm constantly being better than it. I'm constantly learning how to be better. And that's why clients want to retain me. And they notice it and they hire me. And so I'm rallying my subscribers, my viewers against this fight. Not just because I want to sell you something else, but because I mean it. It would be way easier for me to sell AI copywriting because it's so trendy and because it had such a sexy promise of work less but make more. But even to my own financial detriment, I don't give a fuck about it. I care what's good for you. And that's the same perspective that you want to have when writing for your clients. That's the same impression your clients should have on the newsletter. Because when you do that, then people start to trust your client. And that's the most important thing. Because then when you write, I recommend you buy this, they actually believe it. It's all about perceived perception. It's all about believing the words that come out of your client's mouth or your words from the keyboard. And it all ties into relationships, right? Because trust comes from a personal connection when you tell these stories, right? When you have no like and, whoa, who would have thought, trust. But in these, you don't get that trust element. That's what I'm trying to make you understand. Even though you've probably been programmed to think that this is the only thing that matters, they're opening with a problem, talking about pain points and then pitching something. No. Switch from that to I am cultivating a relationship with my reader. I am making them trust me. And then I'm merely giving them recommendations of what I think should buy based on what I think is best for them. And that's, my friend, how you actually build a fantastic newsletter that makes way more money over time, where your promos make a shitload of money in a few days. And that's how you retain clients forever and actually build a peaceful business where you don't always have to chase clients. Now I go into way more depth in my anti-beginner copywriting guide, which I want you to snatch right now. Just check it out. Okay. It also has a very cool welcome sequence. I'll have you clicking through my links for like 30 minutes, laughing your ass off. And if you're any curious about that, check that out as well. So first link in the description again, and see you next time.